Are the Toronto Maple Leafs finally ready to make the bold move to shake up their struggling offense? With recent performances leaving fans scratching their heads, it's clear that something needs to change. The team has the talent, but can they find the right pieces to unleash their full potential? Stay tuned as we dive into the latest buzz surrounding a potential game-changing trade that could redefine their season. If you want to be the first to know about this and more, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. It's been a tough stretch for the Toronto Maple Leafs lately. And as a dedicated fan, I can't help but feel a mix of frustration and concern. The recent revelations about Brad Treliving and the team's offensive struggles have thrown the spotlight on what this squad really needs to do to compete at the highest level. Losing to a fatigued Vancouver Canucks team should be a wake-up call for us, and the fact that we couldn't get more than one puck past Kevin Lankinen is simply unacceptable. Let's face it, this team is loaded with talent, but we've seen a lack of urgency and aggression in critical moments. The game against Vancouver was a glaring example of how we can fall short against teams we should be beating. It's clear that something has to give. Whether it's a change in coaching strategy, particularly for our struggling power play, or perhaps a trade to bolster our scoring depth, this team needs a spark. The numbers are telling a story we can't ignore. Since January 12th, the Leafs have been sitting at 20th in the league for scoring. When you're being outperformed by teams like Buffalo and Detroit, it raises serious questions about our offensive capabilities. Sure, our goaltending and defense have been solid, no argument there. But how long can we rely solely on those strengths? You can't win games if you don't score goals, plain and simple. Let's talk about the players. Austin Matthews is just starting to find his rhythm again after battling injuries, and William Nylander seems to have gone quiet in recent games. And then there's Max Pacioretty, brought in to add that veteran scoring touch. 5 goals in 30 games? That's not going to cut it. It's a far cry from the 24 goals he averaged while playing in Vegas. We need more from him, and frankly, from the entire roster. Treliving needs to consider adding a defensively minded third-line center to help stabilize the lineup. But if he doesn't address the glaring issue of scoring, we may find ourselves in the same situation come playoff time. It's not just about having a great goalie. It's about having a balanced team that can put the puck in the net when it matters most. And let's be honest, we've been through this before. As fans, we've seen the potential this team has, but potential only gets you so far. We need results, and we need them now. The pressure is building, and I feel it just as much as you do. Do you think this was the best decision? Honestly, I'm torn. On one hand, I see the need for immediate action, but on the other, I worry about the long-term implications of any drastic changes. I want to hear from you, my fellow Leafs fans. What do you think the team should do next? Are you in favor of a trade, or do you believe we should stick with our current lineup and let the players find their groove? And you, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. As we dive into the latest buzz surrounding the Toronto Maple Leafs, one name that keeps coming up is Nicholas Robertson. With the trade deadline looming, the stakes are high, and discussions are heating up around this young forward. It's been a roller coaster of a season for Robertson, who has found himself in trade talks ever since he requested a change of scenery back in June. After signing a new deal before training camp, he seemed poised to make an impact, but the reality has been far more complicated. Let's break it down. Robertson started the season slow, not lighting the lamp until November 30th against Tampa Bay. But then, he showed flashes of brilliance, scoring 4 goals in just 7 games. Unfortunately, he hit another slump, managing only 2 goals in his last 11 games. This inconsistency is something that can raise eyebrows, especially when you consider the depth the Leafs are trying to build. Despite these ups and downs, Robertson finds himself ranked 24th on the fourth period's trade bait list, and has recently surged to 11th on TSN's list. This jump is indicative of the increasing urgency from the Leafs front office to secure a center as the trade deadline approaches. At just 23 years old, Robertson has skated in 36 games this season, likely surpassing the 56 games he played last year. However, his opportunities in the top 6 have been limited, often overshadowed by players like Bobby McMann and Max Pacioretty. His average ice time of just over 12 minutes per game under Craig Berube doesn't scream confidence or opportunity. And with veteran Kalle Järnkrok expected to return soon, the pressure on Robertson intensifies. The question on everyone's lips is whether he will be pushed down the depth chart further, or if the Leafs see enough potential in him to keep him around. Now, how the Leafs deploy Robertson in the weeks leading up to the trade deadline could speak volumes about his future in Toronto. If we see him getting more top 6 minutes, it might feel like a showcase for potential suitors. After all, teams are always on the lookout for young talent capable of breaking out. Conversely, if he remains in a third-line role, it could indicate that the Leafs are holding on to him as a depth player for a playoff run. And let's be real, the fans are dying for a deep playoff run, especially after the heartbreaks of previous seasons. Do I think this was the best decision? Honestly, I'm torn. On one hand, Robertson has undeniable talent. On the other, the inconsistency might be a liability as we strive for playoff success. The Leafs management has a tough balancing act here. They need to weigh the risk of losing a potentially great player against the immediate benefits of acquiring a solid center to bolster the lineup. The reality is that every decision made in these next few weeks will ripple through the rest of the season and beyond. The implications of these trade talks and lineup decisions are massive, not just for the team, but for us, the fans. Every time we hear about potential trades or lineup changes, we can't help but feel that familiar mix of hope and anxiety. Are we finally going to see the team break through? Are we going to witness the rise of a star in Robertson? Or will he become another name on the list of what could have been? I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think the Leafs should do with Robertson? Is it time to pull the trigger on a trade? Or should they stick with him and see if he can find his groove? Let's get the conversation going in the comments below. Your opinions matter, and I'm eager to see where you all stand on this. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay updated on all the latest Leafs news and developments. Make sure to activate the notification bell so you don't miss a single update as we march through this exciting season together.